Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the adult sci-fi and fantasy series that I want to prioritize in 2021. So yes, it is that time of the year to start planning my 2021 reading goals. It's really right around the corner, and as I was kind of going through my shelves, I was figuring out what series I wanted to start in 2021 and finish in 2021, and also a couple of series where I own the first book and I want to at least read the first book to see if it's a series that I want to continue on with. So I'm going to start with a couple series that I own the complete series and I want to knock those out next year, and then I'll mention these first books in a series that I own. Before we go ahead and get on into the books though, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post new videos every Sunday and every Wednesday and sometimes on Friday. Be sure to check out the description box as well, where I have links to all of my social media, including my Patreon, where you can be entered into a monthly raffle to choose a book off of my TBR for me to read and review, as well as entered into winning quarterly book giveaways. The first series that I want to prioritize reading is the second Era Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I am trying to get caught up on all of Brandon Sanderson's works in the Cosmere, and after Rhythm of War, when I'm done with that, the only books I'll have still to read are Elantris and second Era Mistborn. I do plan on reading Elantris in December, so come January, I will only have the second Era Mistborn to read. And I've heard that some people like this more than the original trilogy, some people like it less. They don't seem to be as long as the original trilogy, and I've also heard that Wax and Wayne are just like such a good character duo, but I feel like it's a series that I can definitely knock out very quickly, and the books in this series include The Alloy of Law, Shadows of Self, and Bands of Mourning. The second trilogy that I want to prioritize next year is the Liveship Traders by Robin Hobb. This takes place in the Farseer universe or realm of the Elderlings, but it doesn't follow Fitz and the Fool. So I finished the Farseer trilogy last year and really loved it, and I looked up kind of how to read her books within the world, and on Harper Voyager's website, the suggestion was to read the Liveship Traders next, and I have all the books in this trilogy. I have them used and they're not in the best condition, but I do want to upgrade these books to like newer, better condition books at some point. These have like the really old covers on them, but it's what I'm going to read for now. And if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I love books that take place on the ocean and ships and sailing, and that's just a setting and, certain tropes about that I absolutely love. And in this world, these ships are called live ships because they are made with something called witchwood, which actually kind of makes them alive and gives them sentience, and that just is really interesting to me. And the books in this trilogy include The Ship of Magic, Mad Ship, and The Ship of Destiny. The next series I want to prioritize in 2021 is a sci-fi series, and that is the Silo series by Hugh Howey. This is a series that I picked up at a used bookstore, and I've had it on my shelf forever, and it is just high time that I read it. But in this world, we follow humanity as they have been forced underground and to live underground because the surface of the earth is no longer inhabitable, and we follow a group of characters that decide to venture to the surface of the earth, and I think what they find is just not at all what they expect. So I want to get to this just because I'm tired of looking at it on my shelves, and the premise sounds super interesting, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. And the books in this series include Wool, Shift, and Dust. The next four books are first books in a series, and I don't own any other books in the series, so I want to read them and see if they are series that I want to continue. The first book is Malice by John Gwynne. This is book one in his Faith of the Fallen quartet, and I have heard so many things, good things about John Gwynne, that I'm surprised I haven't read him yet. And I actually own the first book in his spin-off series, somewhere up there, that I found at a used bookstore, and I picked it up even though I hadn't read the first quartet yet. And I've had this book for a while, and the only reason, this is gonna sound so petty, that I haven't read it is that I got this used from Thrift Books, and it came with like a ton of water damage, but I think I'm assuming I'm going to get some like bookish gift cards for Christmas gifts, so I might just go ahead and upgrade this series and so I have all 4 books in good condition. But this is just your traditional like epic fantasy, and it follows a world where humans fight giants and there's a war stirring again with the giants, and that's really all I know. But it's just had so much praise, and I love, you know, epic fantasy, so I'm surprised I haven't read this already. So I do plan on reading this early on in the year, probably in January. The next book is City of Lies by Sam Hawke. This is book 1 in the Poison Wars series, which I think there's only this book and a second book that's published, but this is a series or a book that I just came across, and quite honestly, I haven't heard a lot about it, so I really am going in with like zero expectations. And I think from what I have heard, it's on like the lower end of the fantasy spectrum with regards to like magic and things like that. But in this series, we follow a character named Javal, who is like a best friend and companion to the Chancellor's heir, and kind of on the side, he dabbles in poisons and things like that. So it reminds me of Fitz from the Farseer trilogy, who dabbled in poisons and knew how to kill someone. But one day the Chancellor is poisoned, and subsequently a foreign army attacks and besieges the city, and Javal and his sister have to do everything possible to make sure that the heir of the city is kept safe. So like I said, I really don't know much about this, don't know much about the author. I think this might be a debut book, and I haven't heard much about it, but I do want to get to it in 2021. Next, we have Sunlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. This is book 1 in the books of Babel, and this is kind of a unique fantasy premise. I've never heard kind of anything like it. It sounds like it just steps away from your traditional fantasy plots, but this follows a man named Thomas who is like bookish and kind of quiet, and as soon as he gets married, his wife is kidnapped, so he has to go on a mission to save his wife. He has to travel to the Tower of Babel, where there are monsters and magic and assassins, and has to overcome all of these challenges to save his wife. And it just, like I said, sounds like something I personally have never read before, and it's a book that's been on my radar for the longest time, so I'm so happy to finally have it in my possession. And I believe the 4th book, I don't know if it's the final book, comes out in the fall of 2021, so if this is a book that I like, then I can definitely get caught up before book 4 comes out. Next first book in a series I want to try is a sci-fi, and that is Two Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is book 1 in the Terra Ignota series, and this is another series that I haven't heard a ton about, but it just kind of sounded interesting. In this book, we follow a planet, I don't know if it's Earth or some other planet, where religion has been completely wiped out, and also like central government has been completely wiped out, and this planet is ruled by 7 like separate states or governments. And we follow a main character named Mycraft, who kind of has been in trouble with the law, and he ends up getting commissioned to investigate a theft and kind of uncovers all of these conspiracies. So I have heard that this book is a little bit confusing on the world building side, and it takes a while to get oriented in this world. So I'm a little bit nervous going into it. I think that's why I put off reading it for so long, but I really want to read more sci-fi in 2021 and try and read all of the sci-fi that I do own. So I figured I'd go ahead and start with Two Like the Lightning and see if it's something that I enjoy. Okay, you guys, so that is it for the fantasy and sci-fi trilogies that I want to prioritize in 2021, as well as a couple of new series that I want to try to see if I want to read the whole series. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Let me know if there's a particular book or series that I should prioritize over the others, and I will see you guys soon in another video. Goodbye.